They arrested me the day I arrived. Iron shackles cutting into my wrists, the whole town watching. They said I murdered a family 5 years ago. They were right, but not the way they think. My name is Cole Brennan. Once that name made men reach for their guns. Now it just makes them reach for a rope. I rode into Sweetwater on a Thursday morning when the sun was already brutal and unforgiving. My horse was exhausted. So was I. 3 days of riding, always moving, always running from a past that never stops chasing. Sweetwater looked peaceful, small, the kind of town where maybe, just maybe, I could rest for a week without my demons finding me. I was wrong. I'd barely dismounted at the livery stable when I heard boots behind me. Heavy, purposeful. Cole Brennan. I turned slowly, hands visible. The sheriff stood 15 feet away, older than me, gray mustache, hard eyes. His hand rested on his revolver. "Sheriff," I said quietly. "Thought you'd keep running forever." He moved forward. "You're under arrest." I didn't resist. What would be the point? The iron shackles clicked shut around my wrists with a sound like a door closing. Final. "Cole Brennan," the sheriff announced loudly, "you're under arrest for the murder of Sarah Henderson and her daughter Emily." The names hit me like bullets. Sarah, Emily. A woman and a little girl with yellow ribbons in her hair who died because of me 5 years ago. People gathered fast. Within minutes 30 people formed a circle around us in the dusty street, their faces twisted with anger, disgust, judgment. "He killed a child?" a woman gasped. "During a bank robbery in Silver Ridge," the sheriff said. "Shot them both in cold blood." "That's not," I started, then stopped. What could I say? That it was an accident? That my bullet went through a wall? Would that bring them back? "Hang him," someone shouted. "String him up now." The sheriff raised his hand. "There'll be a proper trial." "Law didn't help that little girl," a man spat. I kept my head down. I deserved every angry word, every hateful stare. Maybe this was justice finally catching up. Then I heard a different voice, quieter, feminine. "Did he confess?" I looked up. She stood at the edge of the crowd, mid-30s, dark hair pulled back, faded blue dress with dust at the hem, sun-touched face with fine lines around eyes that had seen hardship. But it was her eyes that stopped me. Green, like spring grass after rain. And they looked at me with something I hadn't seen in years. Curiosity, like I was a puzzle worth solving. "Ma'am," the sheriff said. "Did he confess?" she repeated, stepping forward. People parted for her. "You said he murdered those people. Did he admit it?" "Witnesses saw him, Mrs. Walsh. His gang shot up half the town." "That's not what I asked." "Mrs. Walsh, married or widowed?" "There were 6 men in that gang," the sheriff continued, irritated. "Brennan here was identified specifically." "And the woman and child?" she pressed. "Did anyone see him shoot them too?" The sheriff's jaw tightened. He was there, his gang, his robbery, his responsibility. She turned those green eyes on me fully. "Did you do it?" The crowd went silent. I could have lied, blamed the others. 3 were dead anyway. But I'd made a promise 5 years ago. If I ever got the chance, I'd tell the truth, even if it damned me. "Yes." Something flickered across her face. Disappointment, maybe. But I continued, voice rough. "Not the way they think." "What's that supposed to mean?" someone shouted. I ignored them. I kept looking at her. Only her. "I fired my gun that day. My bullet killed them. That's the truth. But if you're looking for a monster man, you won't find him in my face." I paused. "You'll find him in my nightmares." Her eyes widened. The crowd erupted in shouts, but I barely heard them. I was watching her face, watching doubt replace certainty. The sheriff grabbed my arm. "Enough talking, Mrs. Walsh. You should head home." "Where are you taking him?" "Jail, then trial, then probably a hanging." She nodded slowly, still watching me. Then she stepped closer, close enough that I could smell lavender soap. "What's your first name?" she asked quietly. "Cole. Cole," she repeated. "I'm Margaret, Maggie." "Ma'am, did you mean to kill them? The woman and girl?" Everyone watched us, but she didn't seem to care. "No," I said. The word came out like a prayer. "God, no. Not them, never them." She studied my face for a long moment, then stepped back. "Good luck at your trial, Cole Brennan." The sheriff pulled me toward the jail. The crowd followed, shouting, but I turned once and saw her standing in the middle of the street, arms crossed, still watching. And somehow that mattered more than it should have. The jail cell was small and hot. The sheriff locked me in, then stood outside the bars. "I remember that day in Silver Ridge," he said. "That little girl was 6 years old, had yellow ribbons in her hair." My hands clenched. I knew. God, I knew. "Why'd you run? If it was an accident, why not stay? Would you have listened?" I met his gaze. "Would anyone?" He didn't answer. "My gang left me there," I said quietly. "When I saw what I'd done, I couldn't move. They rode out. The sheriff beat me, broke 3 ribs, said he'd hang me at sunrise without trial. A deputy let me escape that night, told me to run and never stop." The sheriff shook his head. "I'm not that deputy. Trial's in 3 days. Judge Harkins is coming from the Capitol." "I know. You got anyone to speak for you?" "No." "Then you're going to hang." "I know." He turned to leave, then paused. "That woman, Mrs. Walsh, she lost her husband 3 years ago. Bandits. She doesn't trust easily. Doesn't trust men with guns at all. So whatever you're thinking, forget it." I wasn't thinking anything, except that her eyes had been kind when everyone else's were full of hate. And that maybe in another life where I wasn't a killer waiting for a noose, I might have wanted to know her story. But this wasn't another life. This was mine. And it was almost over. She came to see me on the 2nd day. I was lying on the narrow cot, staring at the ceiling, counting cracks. 43, better than thinking about the rope waiting for me tomorrow. The door creaked open. Light footsteps. Not the sheriff's heavy boots. Then her voice. "I'd like to speak with the prisoner." I sat up fast. "Mrs. Walsh," the sheriff said, surprised. "This isn't appropriate. He's in a locked cell. I'll be fine." "Ma'am, I really don't think." "5 minutes, Sheriff. Please." A heavy sigh. 5 minutes. She appeared in front of the bars. Different dress today. Hair down, falling past her shoulders. She carried a basket covered with cloth. "Hello, Cole." "Mrs. Walsh." "Maggie," she corrected. She knelt, pulling back the cloth. "Bread, cheese, apple slices, water." "The sheriff feeds me," I said. "Barely." She pushed the basket between the bars. "You're too thin." "Why are you here?" She stood, those green eyes finding mine. "I don't know. I should hate you. You killed a child. That's unforgivable." "It is. But something about what you said yesterday, that wasn't the face of a man who killed in cold blood. Does it matter? Accident or murder, they're still dead because of me. It matters to the truth. The truth won't save me, Maggie." She studied me. Really looked. "Tell me what happened that day. The real story." I almost said no. But then I looked at her face, at the first person in 5 years willing to listen, and something broke. I sat. She sat on the floor outside the cell, waiting. "We rode into Silver Ridge on a Monday," I began. 6 of us. I was 23, stupid, angry at the world. She listened without interrupting. "The plan was simple. Rob the bank. No killing, but a bank clerk pulled a shotgun, started shooting. Everything went to hell. My hands shook. I gripped my knees. I was by the back wall. A teller tried to run. I fired a warning shot, meant to hit the wall above his head. I closed my eyes, saw it all again. But the bullet went through the plaster, through the wall, into a storage room where a woman was hiding with her daughter. Silence. Heavy. I heard the screams. Different screams. Pain. I ran to the back door. Found them there. The mother on the floor holding the little girl, both bleeding. The little girl had yellow ribbons in her hair. My voice broke. I dropped my gun. Tried to help. But the mother looked at me with so much hate. She died first, then the girl, right there while I knelt next to them, and I couldn't do anything. Maggie's hand pressed to her mouth. Tears streaked her cheeks. "Your gang left you. They panicked. Ran. I was still in that room when the sheriff found me. He beat me unconscious. I woke up in a cell. Deputy said the sheriff would hang me at dawn without trial. The deputy helped me escape, told me to ride and never come back. I met her eyes. So that's what I've been doing, working honest jobs, never touching my gun, trying to help people. But it doesn't change what I did. She stood, moved closer. What were their names? Sarah Henderson and Emily. And you remember. Every day, every night. She reached through the bars. Her hand found mine, warm, real. Thank you for telling me, she whispered. Why does it matter to you? Because 3 years ago bandits killed my husband while I hid. When the sheriff asked if I'd seen their faces, I lied, said it was too dark. Her voice broke. But I saw them. I see them every night. Just like you see Sarah and Emily. Those men are still out there because I was too afraid to tell the truth. Maggie. So when I see a man who spent 5 years punishing himself, who could have lied but didn't, she pulled her hand back. I needed to know if redemption is possible, because if it is for you, maybe it is for me too. The door opened. The sheriff appeared. Time's up, Mrs. Walsh. She picked up her basket, but before she left, she looked at me. The trial is tomorrow at noon. I'll be there, and I'm going to tell them what you told me. All of it. It won't change anything. She smiled sadly. Maybe not, but you deserve someone who knows you're more than the worst thing you ever did. Then she was gone. I sat there in the silence, staring at the basket. And for the first time in 5 years, I felt something other than guilt. I felt hope. It was dangerous, foolish. But God help me, I felt it anyway. The courtroom was packed. Every seat filled. People standing along the walls, more crowded outside, pressing against the windows, trying to see inside. The whole town had come to watch me hang. Not literally. Not yet. But that's what this was. A formality before the execution. They cleaned me up that morning. Given me a razor, a bucket of water, a clean shirt. The sheriff said it was protocol. I think he just didn't want me looking like an animal in front of the judge. Bad for the town's reputation. Now I sat at a wooden table in the front, hands still in shackles, while Judge Harkins reviewed the papers in front of him. He was older, maybe 60, with white hair and a face carved from stone. His eyes were cold and distant, like he'd seen 1,000 men like me and found us all the same. The sheriff sat to my right. Maggie sat 3 rows back. I could feel her eyes on me, but I didn't turn around. Couldn't. If I looked at her, if I saw kindness or hope in her face, I might break completely. Judge Harkins set down the papers. Cole Brennan, you stand accused of murder during the commission of a felony. The murder of Sarah Henderson and her daughter Emily Henderson, age 6, in Silver Ridge 5 years ago. How do you plead? The room went silent. Every eye on me. Guilty, I said. Gasps. Whispers spreading like wildfire through the crowd. The judge frowned. You admit to the crime? I admit my bullet killed them. Yes, Your Honor. Then this should be a short proceeding. He picked up his gavel. Cole Brennan, I hereby sentence you to. Wait! Maggie's voice rang out clear and strong. The judge paused, gavel in midair. Ma'am, this is a court of law. You cannot simply. He pleaded guilty to killing them. Not to murder. She stood, moving down the aisle. People shifted to let her pass. There's a difference, and this court deserves to hear it. Mrs. Walsh, the sheriff started, but she ignored him. She stopped directly in front of the judge's bench. Your Honor, I request permission to speak on behalf of the accused. You're not a lawyer. No, sir, but I'm a witness to his character, and to the truth of what happened that day. The judge studied her for a long moment. Then he sighed. Very well, but make it quick. She turned to face the room, faced all those angry, judgmental faces, and she didn't flinch. 5 years ago, 6 men robbed a bank in Silver Ridge. That's not in dispute. People died. That's not in dispute either. But what happened in that back room, that's where the truth gets complicated. He shot them, someone shouted from the crowd. He did, Maggie agreed. But not intentionally, not deliberately. His bullet went through a wall. He was aiming at someone else. He didn't know anyone was in that room. Doesn't matter, another voice yelled. Dead is dead. You're right, Maggie said quietly. Dead is dead. Sarah and Emily Henderson are gone. Nothing changes that. But the law distinguishes between murder and manslaughter, between evil intent and tragic accident. She looked at the judge. Cole Brennan has spent 5 years punishing himself. He stopped using his gun, stopped living really, Just existing, moving from town to town, working honest jobs, trying to atone for something he can never fix. How do you know this? The judge asked. Because I spoke with him, listened to his story, looked into his eyes and saw a man destroyed by guilt. That's not the face of a cold-blooded killer. Words are cheap, Mrs. Walsh. Then look at the facts, she pressed. When the sheriff of Silver Ridge found him, Cole wasn't running. He was kneeling beside those bodies trying to help. His gang abandoned him. They took the money and fled. He stayed. The judge leaned back in his chair. Is this true, Sheriff? The sheriff shifted uncomfortably. The report from Silver Ridge says he was found at the scene. Yes. And he escaped custody. How? A pause. A deputy helped him. Why would a deputy help a child murderer escape? The sheriff had no answer. Maggie continued, her voice gaining strength. Because that deputy saw what everyone here refuses to see. That Cole Brennan made a terrible mistake. A mistake that cost innocent lives, but a mistake is not the same as murder. The law, the judge started. The law is supposed to pursue justice, not vengeance. Maggie's eyes swept the room. I know about vengeance. 3 years ago my husband was killed by bandits. I watched it happen. And when the sheriff asked if I could identify them, I lied. I said I couldn't see their faces. Shocked murmurs rippled through the crowd. But I could, she continued, voice shaking now. I saw them clearly, and I said nothing because I was afraid. Those men are still free, still hurting people, because I chose cowardice over truth. She turned back to the judge. Cole Brennan chose truth. Yesterday in front of this whole town, he could have lied, could have blamed his dead gang members, could have claimed innocence, but he didn't. He admitted what he did, took responsibility. That's not the action of a monster. Mrs. Walsh, the judge said gently, your compassion is admirable, but the court cannot function on compassion alone. I'm not asking for compassion, I'm asking for justice, real justice, which means seeing the whole truth, not just the easy parts. She walked over to my table, stood beside me, her hand rested on my shoulder and I felt the weight of it like an anchor. This man is not a threat to this town. He's not a danger to anyone. He's already in a prison of his own making, one he'll never escape no matter what you decide today. So the question isn't whether he deserves punishment. He's been punishing himself for 5 years. Her voice dropped to almost a whisper. The question is whether we're brave enough to recognize the difference between a killer and a man who made a terrible mistake. Silence filled the courtroom, complete and total. The judge looked at me. Mr. Brennan, do you have anything to say? I stood slowly. The shackles clinked. Everything she said is true, Your Honor. But it doesn't change the facts. I was part of a robbery. People died because of choices I made. Sarah and Emily Henderson are dead because I pulled a trigger. I took a breath. I'm not asking for mercy. I'm not asking to be forgiven. I just want people to know that I see their faces every night. I hear Emily's last breath. I remember the way Sarah looked at me with so much fear. My voice cracked. And I'm sorry, God. I'm so sorry, but sorry doesn't bring them back. So if hanging me brings this town peace, if it brings their family justice, then I'm ready. I sat back down. The judge was quiet for a long time. Then he looked at the sheriff. Is there any family of the victims present? Anyone here to speak for Sarah or Emily Henderson? The sheriff shook his head. No, sir. Their family moved east after the incident. No one stayed in Silver Ridge. Then this court is only the facts and the testimony we've heard today. The judge picked up his gavel, then set it down again. This is complicated. He stood. I'm calling a recess. I need to review the territorial laws on manslaughter versus murder during commission of a felony. Court will reconvene in 2 hours. The gavel came down. Bang. People erupted into conversation. The sheriff moved to take me back to the cell, but Maggie grabbed my arm first. That was good, she said. You told the truth. That matters. He's going to hang me anyway, Maggie. Maybe, maybe not. Her green eyes searched mine. But at least now they've heard who you really are. The sheriff pulled me away. As I was led out, I turned back once. Maggie stood there in the middle of the courtroom alone, watching me go. And I realized something that made my chest tight. In another life, if I'd been a better man from the start, if I'd made different choices, if I'd never ridden into Silver Ridge that day, Maybe she could have been mine. But this wasn't another life. And some things once broken can never be fixed. The 2 hours felt like 2 years. I sat in the cell staring at the wall, trying not to think about the rope. The sheriff brought me water without a word. When they came for me, golden light streamed through the window. Beautiful. I noticed beauty more now. The courtroom was packed. Maggie was in the same spot. Our eyes met. She gave me a small nod. Strength. Judge Harkins entered. I've reviewed the territorial statutes. Mr. Brennan, stand. I stood, shackles heavy. The law is clear. You participated in a felony. 2 people died. Under normal circumstances, that's felony murder. My stomach dropped. However, he continued, Mrs. Walsh raised valid points. The evidence suggests you didn't intend to kill those victims. Deaths occurred through a wall during chaos when you were aiming elsewhere. He paused. That doesn't absolve you, but it creates reasonable doubt about premeditation. Whispers erupted. The gavel came down. Order. Additionally, your actions after are relevant. You didn't flee. You showed remorse. You confessed immediately when arrested. He set down his papers. This court finds you guilty of manslaughter during commission of a felony, not murder. Gasps. Angry shouts. The gavel banged repeatedly. The sentence for manslaughter is 5 to 15 years imprisonment, or alternative sentencing at my discretion. Prison, not hanging. However, I'm not convinced imprisonment serves justice. You've already served 5 years of self-imposed exile. He leaned forward. You will remain in this territory. Report to Sheriff Morrison monthly. Work an honest job. And most importantly, you will write a letter to the Henderson family. A full account. An apology. My throat closed. Yes, Your Honor. If you violate these terms, if you leave, if you touch a gun, if you commit any crime, you will hang. No trial. No second chance. Understand? Yes, Your Honor. Do you accept these terms? Yes. The gavel came down. This court is adjourned. Chaos erupted. The sheriff grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the side door. But I heard her voice. Cole! Maggie pushed through the crowd. When she reached me, she hugged me. Right there in front of everyone. You're alive, she whispered. Maggie, the sheriff said gently, I need to take him back to process the release. She pulled back, tears streaming, but smiling. I'll wait, however long it takes. They led me away. The sheriff unlocked the shackles. The iron fell away. You're a lucky man, he said quietly. That woman fought for you. Don't waste that. I won't. He handed me my belongings, and my gun wrapped in oilcloth. I stared at it. You can't carry it, the sheriff reminded me. I know. Can you keep it here? Lock it away? He raised an eyebrow. You sure? I never want to hold it again. He nodded, locked it in a cabinet. It'll be here if you change your mind, but I hope you don't. He walked me to the door. One more thing, that letter, the judge ordered. Don't put it off. I will. Sunlight poured in, and there, waiting exactly where she said, was Maggie. She looked up. That smile again. I walked down slowly, still not quite believing I was free. Hi, she said. Hi. We stood awkwardly, then she laughed. I don't actually know what happens now. Me neither. Do you have a place to stay? No. A job? No. She took a breath. My ranch is about an hour's ride. I need help with repairs before winter. There's a small cabin out back where you could stay. I stared. Maggie, you don't have to. I know, I want to. Her green eyes met mine. You need a job, I need help. And maybe we both need to stop running from our ghosts. People will talk. Let them. They'll say you're foolish. They're probably right, but I've spent 3 years being afraid. I'm tired of being afraid, Cole. She held out her hand. Do we have a deal? I looked at her hand, offering me something I never thought I'd have again. A second chance. I took her hand. Deal. Her smile widened. Good, then let's go home. Home. The word echoed in my chest like a prayer. We walked toward the livery stable. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and gold. People watched us pass, but I didn't care. I only cared about the woman beside me. The woman who'd seen the worst of me and decided I was worth saving. Maggie? I said quietly. Yes? Thank you for believing me. She glanced at me, something warm in her eyes. Don't thank me yet. We've both got a long road ahead. I know. But maybe we can walk that road together. Maybe that makes it easier. Maybe it does. We reached the stable. I saddled my horse and we rode out together into the fading light. Behind us, Sweetwater grew smaller. Ahead, the open plains stretched endless. And for the first time in 5 years, I wasn't running from my past. I was riding toward a future. With her. 3 months passed like a dream I was afraid to wake from. The work was hard. Honest. I repaired Maggie's fences, fixed the barn roof, rebuilt the chicken coop. Every morning I woke in the small cabin, grateful for another sunrise. Maggie and I fell into a rhythm. She'd bring coffee. We'd talk, small things at first, the weather, the work, but gradually the conversations deepened. She told me about her husband Thomas, how the bandits came on a Tuesday, how she'd hidden in the barn and heard the gunshot. I told her about growing up angry, about Jack Morrow's gang, about the 5 years after, drifting like a ghost. Do you regret writing that letter? She asked. One evening on her porch watching the sunset. I'd written to the Henderson family the week after the trial. 3 pages. Every detail. Every regret. No, I said. It needed to be done. Have they responded? Not yet. Maybe they never will. She was quiet. I wrote a letter too to the sheriff. Told him the truth about the men who killed Thomas. Maggie, you inspired me. If you could face your truth, I could face mine. Something shifted between us. I wanted to reach for her hand, but I didn't, because I didn't deserve her. Not yet. Then everything changed on a cold November morning. I was working on the barn when I heard horses. Multiple riders coming fast. I climbed down, hand instinctively reaching for a gun that wasn't there. Maggie emerged from the house. Who is it? 5 riders crested the hill. My blood turned to ice. Jack Morrow. Well, well, he called out. Cole Brennan, heard you were dead. Jack. His eyes slid to Maggie. And who's this? Leave her out of this. He laughed. Heard about your trial. About how you talked. That's a problem, Cole. You know things about me. About jobs we pulled. I didn't mention you. Yet. He drew his gun. You're coming with us. No. Maggie stood beside me. He's not going anywhere. Ma'am, this doesn't concern you. Yes, it does. This is my land, and Cole works for me. Maggie, I said quietly, go inside. No. Jack raised his gun at her. A man who gets what he wants. Something inside me snapped. 5 years of guilt. 5 years of running. All of it crystallized into one clear thought. No more. I stepped in front of Maggie. Between her and the gun. You want me, Jack? Fine. I'll come. But leave her alone. Cole, no. Maggie grabbed my arm. It's okay. Then to Jack. Do we have a deal? Jack lowered his gun slightly. Say goodbye. I turned to Maggie. Her eyes were wide with fear, with something else too. When we leave, ride to town. Tell the sheriff. They'll kill you. But you'll be safe. That's what matters. Promise me, Maggie. Time's up, Jack called. I looked at her one last time. Memorized everything. I'm sorry, I whispered. You saved my life, just by seeing me as something other than a monster. I turned away, started walking. Then a gunshot rang out. From behind me. I spun. Maggie stood on her porch holding a rifle. One of Jack's men was on the ground, clutching his shoulder. Next one won't be a warning, she said. Her hands shook. Jack's face went red. You stupid. I'm not stupid, and I'm not helpless. She aimed at Jack. You're going to leave, or I'm going to shoot you too. There's 5 of us and 1 of you. I only need 1 bullet. Then more horses. Lots of them. The sheriff appeared with 6 deputies, all armed. Jack swore, looked at his wounded man, looked at the deputies. Did the math. This isn't over, Brennan. Yes, I said quietly. It is. Because I was done letting them have power over me. Jack mounted his horse. Ride. They thundered away as the sheriff arrived. Everyone all right? He called. We're fine, Maggie said. The rifle fell from her hands. She was shaking. I ran to her, caught her as her legs gave out. She collapsed against me. I've got you, I whispered. I shot him. Her voice was small, shocked. You saved my life. I was so scared. I know, but you were brave anyway. Later, after the sheriff left, we sat on her porch under the stars. I can't stay, I said finally. She looked at me sharply. What? Jack knows I'm here. He'll come back. I won't put you in danger. Cole, you've done enough for me. She took my hand. Do you remember what you said that first day? That you were more than the worst thing you'd ever done. Yes. You were right. And so am I. I'm more than the woman who hid while her husband died. I'm the woman who fought for you, who just shot a man to save your life. She paused. And yes, Cole, I love you. My throat closed up. I don't know when it happened. Maybe that first day. Maybe during these 3 months. But I love you. I don't deserve. Stop. Her hand touched my face. Stop punishing yourself. Sarah and Emily are gone. Nothing changes that. But you're still here. Still alive. Still trying. That has to count for something. Maggie. Stay. Stay and fight. Not with guns, but with life. With hope. With love. Stay and prove that redemption is real. She leaned closer. Stay with me. I looked at her, saw the strength, the hope, the love she was offering. And I realized she was right. Running wouldn't protect her. But staying, fighting, building something real. That took real courage. Okay, I whispered. Okay? I'll stay. Her smile broke like sunrise. You will? If you'll have me. I'm still broken, Maggie. Still haunted. Then we'll be broken together. We'll be haunted together. But we won't be alone. No, not alone. She kissed me then. Soft. Like a promise. Like redemption tasted sweet and real. When we pulled apart, she was crying, but smiling too. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For choosing life. For choosing me. I wiped her tears. Best choice I ever made. We sat there under the stars, holding each other, two broken people finding wholeness. I thought about Sarah and Emily Henderson, sent them a silent prayer. Then I let myself imagine a future, here on this ranch with this woman, building something good from the ashes. It wouldn't be easy. Jack might come back. The nightmares might never fade. But I had Maggie, and she had me. And somehow that was enough. The gunslinger's redemption wasn't found in a courtroom. It was found here. In her arms. In her belief. In the simple choice to stop running and start living. And for the first time in 5 years, I believed I might actually deserve it. And the end. If this story of survival, courage, and unexpected love touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe to Wild West Untold Love for more tales of redemption on the frontier. And if a moment or a feeling in this story stayed with you, we'd love to hear it in the comments below. Because sometimes the strongest souls are forged in the darkest places. And the greatest love stories begin with the simplest act of kindness.